We're off.
Happy Monday. Welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Ready to own the morning with you guys and get the week started in the right way. Great to have you in the seat. Lori, great to see you, Dad. Let's get going.
Listen, let's call it what it is. It's mid-April, right? We already passed tax day. That's gone.
Hallelujah.
I know. I know. For the first time, you and Jake said, "Oh shit, it's tax day."
And I'm smart about it. I plan for it. And for those of you that, don't do your own taxes or whatever, you have somebody that you work with, you don't really know what the number is going to be. So you're waiting, and then the phone rings and it's Sammy. And I'm like, all right, here it is. Here we go. And then
let me tell you this. For years, when that call would come from Sam, I would literally drop a pint of blood. Oh God. Oh, hold on. And then it was like everybody cleared the deck, so it is fun. But
Lori, do you dread tax day?
Hate it.
You hate it?
Hate it. No, I hate the idea of doing my taxes, period.
Right.
It's not the day. It's just the whole process.
Yeah, you got to outsource it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So I got to ask, hopefully everybody is safe and sound from the flooding that went on here. The flooding actually caused us to cancel a major JA event that we were all going to be involved in. Gabby was going to be a judge. I was going to be MC. Mark was going to be in the crowd. So it was great disappointment that event didn't come up, but I know that we will reschedule.
We're rescheduling. It wasn't fair to the kids. They had off Thursday and Friday, so they missed. It was just too crazy for them. So.
But it was a fun weekend. Huddlers abound. Friends of the family abound. First of all, Saturday morning, I get a call from Zach Stein, who used to be president of On the Ball at one point and is basically considered another son. He was visiting a friend who was going to Tortuga. So he said, come up and hang with us. So I went to the W and hung out with them. Going to the W during Tortuga actually made me feel ancient.
I was going to say, that must have been an out-of-body experience.
I am old. I'm very, very old. Then top right, bottom right, Mariana Abate, who's a great friend, does wonderful job with PR. Lori, do you know her?
I don't think so.
So that's an intro that we need to make. She works with Polo. She works with Worth Avenue. She works with all of the Seminole people. It was her 50th birthday. We went, didn't really know anybody. Next thing you know, Shari Cedar's standing next to me. And I was like, hey, whoa, how do you know Mariana? She goes, I don't. We were here having dinner. And we saw you.
That's awesome.
So it was a great time had by all.
I love it.
Show us your weekend.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. Started off the Friday afternoon with the family happy hour at Houston's, which was a blast. And then went back to Maya Papaya for a Saturday afternoon hangout with the fam. And then we had the inaugural Beers and Babies in our neighborhood. So there's a little park right in our neighborhood. Turns out that there's a lot of young families in the neighborhood that recently have moved in over the past couple of years or just recently had kids. So it was cool to kind of get everybody together, have them hanging out, and then had a great liturgy yesterday at church. That was a picture of Jules playing in the playroom while church was going on. So it was awesome. Awesome weekend. Got caught up, got prepared because I leave on Thursday to go to Mexico. So we wrote some SOPs for the grandparents that are going to be staying.
Well, so let me tell you this. You're not going to Mexico. You're going to Cabo.
Going to Cabo, yeah.
Whole other world, man. There's Mexico and then there's Cabo. So
super excited to be spending 4 days.
That SOP is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's a screenshot.
It's like the 10 Commandments, man. It's like, Jesus.
Lori, if I tell you that it's a 16-hour day, it starts at 6:15 in the morning and goes all the way until 9. And it's basically every 15 minutes of what has to happen in the house. Bottles have got to be warm. Somebody's got to be taken out. Kids got to be all the different stuff. So it's
but the good takeaway there is if you manage your life that way, like you're managing Jules's life that way,
Yeah.
but as adults, if you manage your life with an SOP, it's boom, clockwork. You don't have time to think about it. You just execute. So great stuff. Lori, I know you got dressed up and went out on the town.
I did. Well, we started Friday night. I was negligent. I didn't send Shay pictures. But we started out Friday night at the Heat game. We left in the fourth quarter. They were down. First time in the game, they were down. Got in the car, and we were like, Mike was so frustrated. He's like, they played so well, and now they're blowing the game. We're in the car, and all of a sudden, right, we're like a few blocks, and all of a sudden they came ahead, and they ended up winning. So that was Friday night. Saturday, had the heart ball, got all dressed up.
Look at you.
Look
at all dressed up. Man. Very nice.
But during the day, went to Patrick's bocce games, and he won first place. I posted about that with inclusion and belonging and all of that. And then yesterday went for brunch at the yacht club and then dinner with my uncle. I feel like I want to throw up after all that food yesterday. But other than that, it was a great day. It was a great weekend.
Very nice. Very, very nice. I see, I don't know if Rich is new. Is Rich Terry new?
I don't know, Rich. Rich, good morning. Welcome to the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Thanks for being here with us this morning. Would love to know how you found us.
Buckle up, because Mondays are always fun. We let Lori ride co-pilot with us, and she brought a topic today, which we will close out with: employee engagement versus employee experience. But we got loads of good stuff. Fun way to start the week. Great energy, great stuff. Shay, wake us up.
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up. Come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking, time of thinking ahead. Come on.
Right. All right. Rich says he's been here before. Apologize for not recognizing,
Love
but
it.
you are official.
Child in school.
You're official, sir. So welcome to it. So I want to start out this Monday talking about habits, best practices. Mark, you have SOPs and stuff like that. Something we learned from Jesse Itzler a long time ago. He shared it on our show. I would love to have him back on the Huddle. He's now riding across the country with a group on his bicycle. But he came up with the 3 C's, which is in line with Lori's book. You know, the C word. There's so many C words that matter. Mark, what are his 3 C's?
Compliment, congratulate, and console. And it's in reference to how you should interact with your network on a daily basis. He says, you know, if you build a list of people to reach out to and stay in those 3 columns of compliment, congratulate, and console, it's a great way to feed your network with valuable touches, whether that be through text, email, call, however you decide to do that.
And so there is a process. And when that gets pointed towards you, it looks like this. Scott McGregor, who's been on here before, sends just a quick note to let you know how much I appreciate you, Steve. Have a wonderful weekend, my friend. I'm like, out of nowhere.
Clear blue. Awesome.
I did not do anything at that particular moment to earn that. I just, over the course of time, he is recognizing our relationship. And a couple of days later, I said, still making my day. I go, it just lives in a place. Shay, do you have the picture of Scott Smith? So last night I go to dinner with Scott Smith. Scott Smith lives in Alabama. That's his beautiful wife, Valerie. We go down to Bal Harbor. They were in town for a convention. We go and we have dinner. And then he sends me a note afterwards and says, I just want to let you know I enjoy every second I get to spend with you. I'm like so full of helium. It is unbelievable, the power. And so I want your comments, both of you, because it is a part of leadership. It's a part of being a human being. How do you systematize making people feel good?
Systematize. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure that I have systemized it, but I think that the more you do it, the more often you do it, the more natural it becomes, and it just becomes part of your habits, right?
What
We
a
went out for
dynamite
brunch.
answer. What a great answer, because that's true of everything you do. It's hard to do in the beginning to create the habit. So it's a great answer.
We have a thing in our house. We just, Patrick kind of started it, and we'll just say to each other, "Hey, by the way, love you," right? Out of nowhere, right? It doesn't have to be for a reason. It doesn't have to be when you hang up the phone. So it's something we've kind of done all along. But I think when it happens to you in the reverse, like yesterday morning after brunch, my friend wrote a really great text. We so enjoyed spending time with you guys. Thank you for the friendship. Thank you for the love, right? Gosh, it makes you feel so good.
So it's easier. And this is speaking to what Sherry said, you shouldn't have to think about it. I'm not on Scott's radar. There's nothing pulling us together. He's part of our universe. I love him. He loves me. We know that. It's when you're not with somebody, boom, that he lands on my plate. That's the parts that you can, and this is what Jesse talked about, make that list and hit people every day. Mark, your thoughts?
I think you have to practice recognition, right? So it's like, what are you recognizing? For me, social media is a great place to practice recognition. What are you recognizing in the feed? Are there things that people have shared through content? Is there comments that people have made on people's content? You get notifications about birthdays, about work anniversaries, about all of that, which I could go on for days about. Like, stop sending the generic happy work anniversary, congratulations on your anniversary. Like, delete that and then write something. Make it personal, make it valuable, and make it work. But then you got to do the same thing when it's not in the feed or when it's not in this little box on this little screen. You got to be living your life and recognize what's happening around you. What's your wife doing? What are your kids doing? What are the people you work with doing? Somebody does something that's worth recognizing. It's best to recognize it right in the moment. But even if you don't, get in the habit of taking a note and then following up. Like, that's what Scott Smith did with you, is he had a great time with you. And all he did was follow up.
Yeah,
maybe your message at the end of the night.
Amazing. I mean, that's going to take me, really, really far. That comment is fuel, and Greg Goldstein, who will be the Huddler in the hot seat this week. It's when you don't expect it. It's really meaningful. Like, that came out of nowhere. And I went back to him. I go, what did I do to receive this? Right. And he goes, you're, so even though he's not talking to me every day, he sees it, social media. So it's just it brought to mind that if you make it a habit to pick 2 or 3 people every day and just send that little note, how long does it take to do that? If you did that every day, the numbers are staggering how many people you're re-engaging. So
what's funny to me is it's a great practice for getting yourself out of your own head.
Yeah.
Like, if you're struggling, if you're in a depressed place, or you're having a hard time getting out of a mental state and you're feeling sluggish or whatever, you start thinking about other people and figuring out a way to make them feel good. And then, wouldn't you know that it actually makes you feel good by doing that exercise.
Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to move the conversation to motivational music first. It is Monday. I love playing Motown, and this will lead us to a conversation with Mr. Wonderful. Take it away, Al Green.
I can't believe that it's real. The way that you make me feel. Burning deep down inside. A love that I cannot hide. I know it's you and me, baby. And makes the world round. Keeping you in love and you make. Then on the levels down. Here I am, baby. Come and take me. Here I am, baby. Come and get me. Take me by the hand. I'll squeeze it.
I'm pretty I'm pretty sure that only Al Green can make a sling look cool.
I was just gonna say, hurt or injured. It was like,
like only Al Green can make a sling look cool.
but the reason why I played that song is like if you show up authentically, and I've seen that genuine, authentic throughout the feed this morning. Whoever you are, like that's how Scott shows up all the time. So he leaves me with that impression. I want you to understand the power of first impressions. I think you guys do, but Mr. Wonderful puts it in real good perspective for us.
I could tell after about 90 seconds, winner, loser. The ability to present yourself physically without speaking a word, your presence, your aura is a big deal because you only walk into a room and meet new people once. And they're looking at you, you're looking at them, and it's how you deal with that nervousness, that nervous energy.
Oh, strong.
So Mark, go. I mean, because I saw this and almost like jumped off the balcony. I go, he nailed it. This is here I am, baby.
Well, first of all, let me say I'm super glad that you did not jump off the balcony after listening to that video. Yeah, I mean, so the idea of the way you show up and your energy, right? The actual presence that you have without speaking, just how you show up and your facial recognition, your body language, everything about the way you're dressed and who you are. You know, I wrote about likability a few days ago. People are making a decision on you instantaneously. And working with City Furniture a few months ago, talking about the entrance into the store, I go, those people have half a second to decide whether or not they're going to allow that person standing at the door to engage with them in any kind of dialogue. Forget about what they came to buy, what they want to do, what brought them there. It doesn't matter. As soon as they walk through they're looking at that person and they're making an instantaneous decision on whether or not I'm even going to let this person talk to me. So how you decide to show up and how you decide to present yourself just in entering the room is part of that building likability and getting people to say yes or no to you.
Lori.
Listen, this is a no-brainer. I mean, when I always talk about leadership, and I talk about this sometimes actually with people on our team, there's being able to do a task, right? There's being a leader in that, okay, you have the group, but there is a presence that a leader, to me, that a true leader, someone who motivates, inspires, the minute, as he said, when you walk in the room, right, that people take notice, you command attention. I don't mean command in a bad way, right? But there's attention.
No, that is spot on. Command in a good way.
People
Yes.
want to flock to you. It's interesting. This is a big thing for me. I think it's really.
I am starting to work with a couple of teams that I've worked with for years who are now re-engaged in live networking. We talk about virtual networking. There is a lot of live networking. Friday night is a major event for JA. It's the Hall of Fame. There's all kinds of people there. How you show up matters. And people say, well, how do you work a room? Like, it's very obvious who the hitters are in the room.
Yeah.
If you just stop and look, the ones that everybody is congregating around, those are the people that are making shit happen. So you need to figure out your strategy of how to show up in front of them in a relevant way. Somebody talked about, I think it might have been Lexi saying, I don't want it to be, authentic, artificial. Right. Artificial, that bullshit meter you can see coming a mile away.
But to me, there's confidence. Like, to me, I relate it to stepping in front of a group of people to speak, or stepping in front of the team to speak, or walking into a room full of people that you don't know. You got to have confidence in that scenario. The confidence has to come from understanding who you are, what you represent, what your story is. And so you got to feel comfortable and have confidence that you can operate in that setting. And that just comes from preparation and practice, right?
I think you're right, Mark. Confidence is key. And it's funny.
Not ego, not coming in thinking I'm the shit, right? But confidence gets confused with ego. And you could interchange the words sometimes. But when I walk into a room confident that I'm able to have a conversation with anybody in the room, most likely it's because, number one, I know I don't have an agenda. I don't have a desired outcome other than to see who I can connect with and have some kind of positive vibe with. And number two, I know that the pressure's not on me because I'm going to be the one asking the questions. I'm going to be the one listening. So I don't feel pressured to tell my story and be interesting and capture people's attention. I'm going to do the inverse, and I'm going to get insatiably curious about other people. Therefore, there's no real pressure on me. As long as I feel like I look good and I feel like I've walked in feeling good, I feel like I'm all right.
So, Chris, the best way to get on screen is to blow smoke up our ass. Definitely works. But, Lori, you talked about a confidence in your book. It's one of the C's. It's one of the things that separates people. But this, prime example was we went to a birthday party Saturday night. We did not know anybody there but Mariana. She has a very eclectic group of friends. We got there and we were not a bump on the wall. As people were walking by, we engaged them in a conversation. Hey, how do you know Mariana? Which was simple. Break the, I know. Oh, you're into horror. Oh, and then whatever topic they brought up, if you be interested, not interesting. Right. Everybody thinks they need to go to the event and go, I need to be the most interesting person there. Bullshit. You need to be interested to do that. And so I think, Lori, you embody that and always have in your career. That is a career skill set that you developed. Mark, you went into a profession, there was nobody like you.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Lori, and I'm going to say that that's because you are never seeking other people's validation.
Correct.
Right? Like you don't walk into the room, and even though you want to be accepted by your peers, or even though you want to perform well, you're not looking for the validation for them. Their I guess opinions aren't going to make or break you. It will help you be successful or to help you attain the thing that you want to do, but you're not going to crumble if they don't accept you in that room. I think that's really important to talk about because most people walk into that networking event thinking that their personal validation is going to come from what everybody else thinks about them in the room.
Yeah, I think that's true. And by the way, I wish that I had that my entire career, but it is absolutely something that I developed over the years. And the more confident I became, right, the less I cared about being accepted or being validated. And also, the more I got used to the fact that they put their pants on the same way I do. Yeah. Who cares if they're the CEO of a Fortune 500 and I'm not?
Right.
Who cares? And you know what? Most times they don't care. Right. Saturday night, I had more conversations with people I knew, C-level, people I didn't know, standing on the line waiting for a drink, turned around to the guy. I'm like, hi, how are you? Right. And we started to talk. He was the retired chief of the fire department for BSO. We started talking, blah, blah, blah. And what are you doing there? And before you know it, he was like, do you have a card? Like, we need to keep this conversation going. So you just have to be yourself. I think authenticity is really, really important, and not being, understanding that people are the same. What our titles are is something totally different. But I think when you're confident, it comes across.
So I did you a boo-boo today. We never got to your topic.
That's
and
okay.
Melissa is calling for a rebound. She wants you to come back tomorrow. Okay by me. Mark, okay by you?
Lori, can Lori make it tomorrow?
I am looking at my calendar right now. I'm in.
All right. So coming back tomorrow for employee engagement and
we will start the show out right out of the gate. We'll go right into employee engagement versus employee experience. I'm curious myself. I read the article, but I'm curious because you're fired up about it. You bring a very different point of view. Bring your friends. It's going to be a fun time. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. We had a big audience today. It's time to get down to business.
Let's go.
Please don't worry about me.
I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down.